Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'm standing beside the Factory 5 Racing 65 Coupe. So this will be our, I believe, third video on this particular car. So the first video, just a refresher, we had it in the trailer. We had just picked it up from the client. The body was just resting on the chassis. In the second video, we had it here in the shop, and we had just measured, marked, and attached the body to the chassis so everything is square and true. And then the guys worked on the back glass and cut the holes, set the hinges in for the rear glass, and we have just the rough cutting of the fiberglass to give it clearance, and we'll be doing some more detailed work on that. You'll notice the chin spoiler is just basically sitting on there for now. We're going to mold that in, and we'll talk about that in a little while. The main thing I wanted to focus on is this door. So in the earlier video, we shared with you where we had cut the pockets out. They installed the hinge assembly to the cowl on both driver and passenger sides. And then the next step, we showed you the door, which is solid. So there's no cutout for the handle for the latch mechanism or any room for, any cutting done for the hinges where they attach. So now you can see this is a lot of progress. It never looks like very much when you're standing at the car, but you can see basically they have quite a bit of work done here. So hopefully it'll show up in the video. The gap, you'll see they've got it almost perfect already. And keep in mind, this is just what I would call the rough body work. And the rough adjustment. So you can see the gap is really nice here, and then when you follow along the rocker panel in the bottom of the door, the seam is very, very nice. And then same thing here where they cut it. You can see from the top here coming down, and then this is crucial, is this line between the quarter panel and the door. And if I put an edge or a pencil or something on there, you would see that it lines up. Probably won't show up that well. It's probably distorted in the video. But this is a very, very important step. So you have to make sure the body is fastened properly and square to the chassis, and then you work on the door. But there's quite a bit that has to happen. So we've already attached. So this is quite a bit of work. So you can see in here, they've cut and marked and attached the latch mechanism, and then you can see inside in the other video there's no cutting here, there's no holes drilled, and this was all solid. And then also where the hinge pockets, where the hinges come in through, they're all cut and adjusted properly. So you saw this in the earlier video where we had the cutouts here and the hinges. So since then, they've done all the work on this, and that's two guys pretty much all day to give you an idea of a concept of how long does it take to do this. So these doors, it's very smart the way Factory 5 does it. When they come out of the mold, they're larger than they need to be. So if you ever try to set one of these doors or install the door to the car body, you'll never get it to go on because there's anywhere from an inch, 3/4 of an inch to almost 2 inches overlap or too long on either end. So it's very, very tricky, and I highly recommend get someone with experience with fiberglass if you're going to try to do this at home on your own, because you have to make sure you get the openings just right. So now with the door frame and reinforcement installed, the hinges are installed to the door. You can see this is the Factory 5 release latch mechanism, and then what I showed you the latch here. So all of the internals of the door is now installed. And if the camera person comes around to the striker part, so there's a striker and a bracket that goes in behind. Obviously none of the bodywork is finished here, but we wanted to make sure that the striker is in the right location with the door latch. And then when you shut the door, you have to make sure that we've got everything lined up the way it should be. And this is really, really nice. And this is just the initial setting. They haven't done any of the body work obviously yet. So the trimming and the measuring looks really, really nice. So this is all basically, in terms of the rough dimensions, it's set in place, and I'm really happy with the angle of that. So what we're going to do in the next video we'll be working on the driver's side. It'll be a little bit redundant, but I'd like to share, there's a lot of questions that we get and a lot of emails on how involved is it to do the body work, how difficult is it to do the doors, and can I do it? So this just basically gives you a step-by-step what you need to do. So, so this door looks quite nice, I think, with the latch and everything in place. We don't have any play at all. And then this wing, if the camera person wants to move to the back here a little bit. So this rear wing is very, very rough cut when it comes out of the mold. And there's been a lot of people that like to have either the pop rivets or screws to fasten it onto the body. By the time, if the camera person comes closer this way, along the top here, you can see where the client had drilled a few little holes just to kind of do a, to set it in place. By the time you trim this back and shape it, the shape of this wing, the bottom plate, is a little bit different than the shape of the body. So if you just use some screws or some pop rivets, you're going to get some gaps in between. And in my opinion, it doesn't look right. I know with if you're doing the authentic looking race car, the race car was a little bit on the rough side, and they had, you know, like the pop rivets going across. But this is going to be a car that the client's going to be driving quite a bit in the summer. So we want to make sure it looks nice. So what we'll end up doing is we're going to trim this back with all the rough cut from the mold. We're going to actually bond and fiberglass it in to the body like we've done previously on the 65 Coupe. Just in my opinion, it's a much cleaner finished look, and it'll be part of, so when we're done, it'll look like it's a part of this back end of the car. So in the next video, what we'll do is we'll share with you this kind of work, but on the driver's door. So that'll be another day or two kind of thing. So this is the tribute car. So this is basically a Shelby Daytona tribute car that's built by a nice company in Boston, Massachusetts. It's called Factory 5 Racing. And we are a preferred builder for Factory 5 Racing in Ontario, Canada. So I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.